All right, welcome back to Mystic Portal Emporium. I'm Eternal GM,
I'm Narg, the Portal Dweller.
and today's topic is going to be focusing on a comment we got on a short I had uploaded the previous night. It was covering the how D&D 5e had failed Avengers, but we had one commenter that was completely against the idea of Waterdeep Dragon Heist being a bad module, and I outright think it's the worst one ever. Starting off with, it's not even a heist. Nowhere in it. Well, I mean, I think one set of the bad guys is trying to commit a heist, but like it's poorly named for the players. Not once do you do this, you're just kind of doing a treasure hunt in a way. Um, but I'm going to focus on the game master's perspective of my own personal memory of running the game, as well as just game design in general. Narg will actually have the information about the module and his knowledge of the in-depth lore of D&D uh, come from that perspective. Nard, why don't you start us off with something that, as we were reading through it earlier, really bothered you the most?
Well, one thing that bothers me, I'd say a lot, is just the fact that when it comes to this, it's called Dragon Heist, and that's very misleading because, yeah, there's no heist involved, as the commenter said. But also, I mean, can you really heist something that no one knows exists? Because apparently this gold is kept in a secret location that can only be revealed by a stone that you have to have. And I'll get into that stone later because that's just. But anyway, you have to have the stone to find the vault, and otherwise no one knows this gold's there except the one guy who put it there, and anyone I guess who knows that that's what the stone does. But at the same time, it's like how do you heist that gold? But secondly, it's called the dragon heist, but there's like a dragon and that's not even the thing. The thing is it's the coin. The coin is referred to as a dragon, which that's the stupidest name for a currency that I've ever thought of, that I've ever heard. But biggest thing other than that is the fact that you have to choose one of four things. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. That's a cool concept. You have multiple ending kind of things, multiple campaigns to go through. But the fact of the matter in that is that the you took that's if I have a 100% and I have these four up here and you can fill in any of that, but the whole thing here is that 100% gets taken apart and you have to add in a 25, a 25, a 25. Like it's not like you have a full game and you're adding in, you're just changing around the characters and the events. What you have is a 75% complete thing, and that's being generous, and you have to fill in the 25% with one of the four options instead of having a full game. Like if I take, I could take multiple of these people out of the villain choice and it still function or not function at all. And it doesn't make a lot. One of them doesn't even make any sense. He's just kind of there for namesake, I feel. And finally, it's just the thought of the biggest thing, which I know I said that already, but the biggest thing here is the fact that you have a 1 to 5 module, and you are throwing at the very start of this whole thing a CR5 monster, and the module itself says, "Hey, you might want 6 or more people in this 1 to 5 module." Why? Every single party system, be it Dungeons and Dragons, be it our system, even be it Monster Hunter, be it fucking Magic the Gathering, even included this here recently, where they have a party system mechanic for certain creatures. Anything you do this with has a 4-man rule, and there's always an in lore and an in depth reason why there's a 4-man rule. And it's always just been a classic staple. A 4-man party taking on the world. So
Hmm.
why all of a sudden, to confirm to this module, are we expected to have more than 4 people? I mean, do you know how hard it is to plan a game with fucking 2 people? Let alone 4 or more? Scheduling that is a nightmare for any DM, first of all, but second of all, the fact that I have to have more people than is usually required, and the fact that those people are all expected to work in conjunction and fight together in coordination with having as high of a CR as five out the rip is a lot to ask for, especially when that one thing is a troll. And the problem with it being a troll not only is it CR5, but the regeneration factor. Trolls in general are just a pain in the ass for anybody. They don't even have. You could be a CR. You could be a level 8 party, and a troll could still ruin your day a little bit unless you use acid or fire. But here's the thing: the module says to it's like, hey, have you have an NPC like throw oil on it. That's fine. Oil burns fire damage. That's wonderful. Doesn't give you the module itself. What does the module tell you? Go ahead. Tell. I've talked a bit. What does the module say to do in that regard?
Well, to add one point before I actually get to that, it was a bad design for the opening battle. Not just because of how strong it is or what type of enemy it is, it's that you literally are requiring, as the game master, to take the bartender, which is a previous adventure. That's how he knows how to deal with a troll. If you don't look that part over, you don't check ahead in the book to notice about him and see what you're supposed to recommend, you could completely overlook that. And now you're dealing with a bar fight going on and this troll, as well as, and I forget the name of them, but they're like the weird vampire bat thingies. They come up attached to the troll and will go off and attack other people. So you're dealing with all of those little guys plus the troll. So if you don't actually prep well enough, you're not going to know to have, you know, the game master NPC come in to save the party's ass. And that's just always a horrible design. I can't tell you the amount of players I've experienced telling me how other game masters will use the game master NPC, and it just makes their actions feel as unimportant. Now, I guess you could sit there and go, "Hey, just ignore the thing," but that might actually be a better idea to just completely remove the troll fight because, as even the module says, it's a better lead in to the Dungeon of a Mad Mage, which is what is actually down the hole of the Yawning Portal. It would completely distract the party. Like, and to go back to what you had said, it actually tells you to just ignore the and the recovery damage as long as you get it thrown on them and light them on fire. Um, Luckily, when I ran this, I had 5 players, and a pretty diverse party. It actually worked out decently well. Um, the bartender's supposed to be a fighter. So you actually had 6 people then that could deal with it. And hey, that actually works out decently. But like you had said, it's generally a lot of games are run with 3 to 4 players, and that's not going to work out so well. But that's legitimately just the first few pages of this. These problems consistently point up. Like the amount of requiring the players to know information that they would not know unless they do things normal players don't. Like, hey, in the comments below, go ahead and tell us as a player if you've ever been like, hey, are there any notes that are meant to be handouts in the back of this adventure? Because I've never had a player in decades ask me about handouts that are supplied in the back of the book. And one of the biggest points of this whole campaign is once you get to, I believe it's chapter 3, and the explosion happens, you're supposed to track down um, this creature, robotic, like kind of golem thing made of wood, to a church that throw and runs a celebration, I think once a year, and does a parade, and that's the only time these guys come out of the church. So you're supposed to extrapolate from that we should go check out the church. And even though there is not a single piece of information you can gather, the only witness that mentions having seen that creature you're supposed to follow just says it acted weirdly, but it was very human like at the same time. And that's nothing. There was no trail of blood. The character that gets killed by the fire, well, the bead of fireball, doesn't actually notice the creature after him. So you can't get the information from talk to and speak to the dead. You can't talk to that witness and get anything. There's nothing for your rogue to track down and check out unless you just happen to go, hey, let's look for what? Wood splinters? I mean, it's not there. There was nothing. I literally added in bloody footprints from someone that got away who took the necklace. So now the players are like, wait, we got to track this person down. Maybe they'll have information on who did the explosion. Maybe they are the one that caused the explosion. And that was the only way. I had to damn near railroad them to go to the church because there's nothing that leads you there. And any adventure that requires only one direction, there's no alternatives on how to get to it. And then they don't even provide you information. Literally, just by that point, I'd immediately put it in the lowest ranked adventures I've ever come across. And that's not just in 5e or D&D, that's any game I've ever come across.
And just to go back, like I want to take this bitch bit by bit. So going back to the portal at the beginning, I know my portals. So it's kind of what I do. So this yawning portal spawns a troll. So the yawning portal is a portal that people will go through. It's a bit of a testing area. If you go through the portal, you come back from your adventure and you're proving yourself as an adventurer, and you can then go on and go on bigger, better quests. People are like, wow, he proved himself in that portal. He can handle himself. He can go on it all the way. So what that tells me from this is that this portal's in the middle of Waterdeep, and no one ever thought that, maybe, just maybe, if we can go in one way, things can come out the other. No one ever thought of putting a security thing in place. So a troll, of all things, just pops into the city. And the only reason you know what to do is because an NPC who knew what to do told you what to do. And the game itself tells you if the troll's not, because the fire damage on the oil will only last, if I'm being generous, 2 turns. I don't even off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you how long oil stays on a troll. That's a DM, I guess, discretion thing. But fire only stops the regeneration on the troll's next turn. If the troll's put out, then the turn subsequently he gets the 10 health regen. The game specifically tells you to suspend this rule. So we're already broken the game just by adding more people to the party, which that's not a big deal. I mean, a lot of people do, but homebrew, a lot of people do big parties. I know one guy. They talked about who told me about. I think it was a friend of mine at work. He told me there's this one guy who DMs on an island for like 100 people. Like they have this guy at the top of it all, and he's got moderators and other people who run different sections of the island for smaller groups, and then all the groups will converge and have mismatched information, and then they'll all get together for the. It's crazy. There's a one guy. You can have big scale things like that, but when it's an official release product, and you're breaking the rules like that, that's a little odd. And now we're breaking the rules by saying, hey, ignore a troll, ignore the stat block for the troll. Ignore it. That's like, why? Why would I have to do? You shouldn't be throwing a creature that powerful at a party whose level is 1 at the current time that they're fighting it. I would never throw a troll at a group of level 1 people. I don't care how many of them there are. There could be 10 of them. It's a troll, and no one has access to fire shit at level 1 unless you have an NPC there. And that's another thing I don't understand is he's like, throw oil on it and we'll light it on fire. How did you light it on fire? Who lit that thing on fire?
I think my party actually used one of the lanterns that were hanging around, or maybe there was a torch. I can't remember. But yeah, they used something from the environment. But that's your smart player. That's looking
Yeah.
around and checking the environment. That's not your average
No.
player. Like
Your average player
The
is going to be
game's
like, I'm going to
really
run up in there, I'm just going to slap him with my sword. It's like, okay, go, well, good for you. Like, what's that going to do?
mm. Plus, like I said, I don't remember the like bat like scorpion mosquito things, but there's like 5 or 6 of them. And so if you had a smaller party, you're already outnumbered just from those things. And if they attach, they're draining blood. And we all know at level 1, you don't got a lot of health.
No, you have at
So,
most maybe like what? At the most 10 maybe?
like, I do think, um, let's see, I know a barbarian can start off with about 12 to 15. So, realistically, everyone else can die in one turn. And that dude, whoever's playing the barbarian, is going to be dead in 2 turns. It's like they really didn't think about the results. They were just trying to make something cool, but there's so many moments we'll get into later that they just disregard the lore of things so bad. It doesn't even make sense. Like there's if you're a game master and your players enjoy you running this, I feel bad for you for the amount of extra work and effort you had to put into us. And I've heard arguments on like, hey, a pre-made adventure, it should, you should have to do a little work. But I've heard the other argument, and it really does make sense. Why do I have to read 4 or 5 pages ahead to know a detail I should know on the page we're on? Why should I have to read the whole book to know things throughout the game when it should say it on the pages I'm on? It's this this module fails on many accounts, and I think the biggest one typically in my mind is going to be the fact that I'm paying $50 for this to make running a game easier. I shouldn't have all this extra work. I shouldn't have to put out all this extra effort. The extra effort I should do should be I'm adding to, not that I'm required to do this extra effort just to know what's going on. Like later on, when you get towards actually having the Stone of Galder and you've dealt with other elements of this, you've now picked which villain is going to be the problem. There's certain bits of information you want to know. Like, for example, the Jarlaxle thing was the one I picked. I thought that would be kind of cool. It's not Xanathar, it's not Manchun, so it's not super OP. And this guy actually wants to help you figure it out. Like he's his whole goal is to make a deal with you, and you're going to split the gold with him so that he can do what he's wanting to accomplish. The big problem with that is nothing tells you that. So as a game master, unless you're just creating an NPC to be like, hey, I think Jarlaxle wants to work with you, or you actually force and railroad your players to get caught, um, there's nothing that's going to happen. Your players are going to want to fight these guys, or they're going to try and run and hide from them. You have to get captured or decide to walk up and just talk with this guy, and he will unveil some information. First off, no one's going to do that. No one's going to sit there and just walk up to Jarlaxle on his boat off by the docks and sneak past all of his pirate guys and get on there. You don't know what happened in my game? One of my guys cast magic while holding onto the ceiling to look like he's the ceiling, and the other guys was playing a Warforged, and he goes, "You know what? I'm gonna light all this stuff on fire." Turns out it's gunpowder, and he just like in a movie drops off the thing, walks up the shore, the ship blows up behind him, and they've just basically ruined the campaign by doing what you would expect anyone to do. No one's going to get captured by freaking pirates intentionally unless they know they're supposed to, but that's kind of like meta railroading at that point. It's like, I'm going to tell you why I'm railroading you so that you can just take this path. It it really just fails on so many accounts like that. Yeah, I'm getting off because of how messed up it is. Go ahead. What's your next point of bringing up about this?
So I'm just looking right now, and for a minute now, I've had my web browser pulled up over my screen here, showing off the troll stat block because I'm still hung up on this. So Here's the thing. Let's just suspend disbelief and say that we have enough oil and enough lanterns in the area to take out a troll, which, by the way, has a armor of 15 naturally, and average, not even rolling, mind you, average hit points of 84. Now, assuming we have enough oil and fire to suspend regeneration to the point where a group of and let's be fair, there's going to be four people doing this. Like, who's got more than four friends to play D&D with at this day and age? Like, at the time this came out in 2018, like, it would have been difficult. It would have been a miracle if you could have even pulled that off to have four people playing in the same campaign for more than 3 days. But you have four level one people, and you have enough oil and fire to hit this troll, which, as you can all see from the stat block, does not have an actual weakness to fire. It only counts toward the regeneration nullification. So let's say you have four level one people. Each of them is they're able to take 84 hit points off this thing. Let's just assume that they could, which I'm not saying they can. So your starting characters have one hit die for their health. Let's say it's like what off the top of your head, do you know what the biggest hit die is among all the classes that you start with?
Do believe it's a D12 for the barbarian.
Okay. So this motherfucker right here, just his claw does an average 11, and his bite does an average 7. He gets multi attack where he can do 3 attacks, one with the bite, two with the claws. You're telling me this thing isn't going to party wipe the first chance it gets?
Mm, even with my 5 players all being very well experienced, knowing to look around and use the environment, heck, man, they tag teamed him, got rope in, and spilt extra oil on the ground so that they could trip it and make put it at disadvantage. So they really knew what they were doing. They left that battle. Oh, I think it's scourges. I think scourges are the name of the freaking blood draining things that are also in this. But they left that fight with like everyone is almost dead. If not, they had to bring people back up. Like I do remember them hiring a cleric from the local area to come revive one of them. And I had 5 people playing.
Now, magically, somehow you beat the troll. Okay? Now, that in itself, like, I just do not understand why you would throw a troll in this scenario. But not only from a lore perspective and a story perspective, but from a general, like, I have level 1 guys. Why in God's name would I send a troll on them? But that aside, the next step in this whole operation here is what Volo says. Hey, here's a mansion.
No, you actually need to go on a rescue mission. He basically
Yeah,
goes, "Oh, because you've won and you beat the troll, I see that you are successful adventures. Could you please help me get my friend?" I mean, the sad thing is he doesn't even have the money on him. So if you do basically an insight check, the players realize, oh, he doesn't even have money to pay us. So they literally set it up for your players to consistently go the opposite direction that you need to go. But you're going to rescue Lord Nevermember's not I think it's his son or his grandson. But you're going to get him back from a group of I think it was the I can't remember the crow humanoids. But you're
oh
going to
the
help.
the Kenku.
Yeah, so you're going to rescue him from a group of kinku. You have no idea where it is, and I do remember there's some details you can find, but you had to go the last bit of information you had was once he was leaving talking with Volo, he was heading towards a particular bar. You go to that bar, and you can find the information of him heading or getting jumped outside, and you get the information that can lead you there. But it was really loose, and I remember giving him extra information because I knew where they had to eventually go. But once you rescue him, yeah, that's when you were given a freaking mansion, the deed to a mansion, which effectively, I'm pretty sure most people attempt to open it and make it a tavern again, or just use it as a base of operations and not even worry about it. But the problem with that is it's a whole chapter.
Yeah.
Like the whole of chapter 2
The entire
is
thing is just getting the mansion and setting up a mansion to be a tavern or whatever you want it to be again. It's just playing Sims.
yeah, yeah, it's it could have been just removed. Like you could have had him give you money and like Jesus. The amount like okay, that's a big complaint about the game. They give you a mansion as a quest reward. They give you hundreds of gold as a quest reward. This one chick later on, I think um probably around chapter 5 to 7, she offers you a platinum to let her hide out for a week and gives you another platinum when you're done. This is like so much fucking money for an adventuring party. I
All for
by the end
free,
of it, my players
essentially.
were just like, Jesus, what are we gonna do with all this money? I made an action challenge of defending us. Like okay, so since he was Nevermember's grandson or son, I had him be like, "Hey, you've saved my son. Y'all also, I heard about what y'all've done in Waterdeep." And sends him a letter explaining this and says, turn as much of your money into silver as you can because we need help. And it was a big, giant werewolf invasion thing that I had them lead them into chasing them to end up in Barovia. But the big deal was there was just so much silver and gold and platinum they were given. They literally filled up two whole freaking carts full of silver coin and still were able to hire the people to carry it by the horses, the carts themselves, new weapons and upgrades, and they still had a crap ton of money left. This game just literally showers them with money, and people wonder why there's a gold problem in D&D. It's not a gold problem, there's a generosity problem for the adventure designers.
So, boy. All right. So we have gone over at this point everything that is wrong with chapters 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. So here's my problem with 3. It's a very similar problem to what I had with the troll. So I'm gonna go ahead and once again I'm just gonna hang on. I'm just gonna look up real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and tell everyone. So here's the thing. So once you have your mansion, the whole thing that draws your players into the whole story that goes from here is that there is a fireball that goes on outside, you know, outside the of your mansion and whatnot. And the reason is because whoever's going in, there's a gnome. The gnome has the MacGuffin. Well, one of the two MacGuffins that are featured in this fucking story. So a gnome has the MacGuffin, and he's outside your tavern, just coincidentally, and he's assaulted by a Nimblewright, and no one knows what that is. Even Waterdeep owners don't know what that is. Why? Because the Warforged came out, and not either. I don't even know if they came out before the Nimblewright or after the Nimblewright. I'll be straight with you, but I never knew what a Nimblewright was until I watched a video talking about Warforged, and they were like, "Hey, this is also a thing, by the way." I'm like, "The fuck is that?" Because everyone knows what the Warforged are because they made a big name for themselves. No one knows what the Nimblewright are because no one played Waterdeep. But oh, what?
Ethically.
So this Nimblewright, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, this Nimblewright kills this gnome with a fireball. Okay.
A necklace of fireball beads.
Yes, he has this, and each bead just poke a bead, flick it, and it does fireball. Everyone knows what fireball does. 3d8, isn't it? 3d8 fire damage.
No, it
No,
is 8d6, homie. It's
8d6.
way, way more
I don't know what
powerful than
I don't
that.
know what spell I got on my brain right now, but it's a lot of damage. Everybody knows what there's memes out the ass of fireball because fireball does so much damage. Let me just pull up real fucking fast here. Look at this. Well, the window capture's not working. Hold on, because it's That's also not what
Well,
I wanted you to pull
while
up.
you're working on
I
that,
did
let me
not want
actually
that
add
pulled up.
this.
That's
It
the.
used to be 5d6 or 6d6 in earlier
Oh.
editions, but the designers of 5e literally said we increased the damage of it because of all the memes and popularity around it. We wanted to make it more powerful.
Alright, I am going to try and pull up a new window capture, and I'm hoping that it lets me bring it up. It's not gonna even let me bring it up. What the hell? You know what? I don't even understand how me switching. You know what? It might be because I had it fucking minimized. Hold on. Is it because I had it minimized? It's not. I don't know what it's doing. This soft. There it is. So here it is, everybody. This is a gnome stat block. CR 1/4. Armor class 12. Hit points average 13. You used a fireball to kill this thing. All right, all right, all right. Now everyone, just hold on to your britches real fast. So let me show you guys what the nimble right is capable of. Right. This was purely a stat, like not a stat, a story choice, and not even a good one at that. But I can't even find the damn thing on images. I forgot. I gotta go look through. I forgot where I even looked. I don't think it was. Was it here? No, this is the race. I don't even remember. Hold on. Nimble right. Here we go. So these things are a CR4, right? Let me go ahead and tell y'all that. This thing itself is a CR4. So, again, you've got something really fucking powerful against a bunch of low level players. Which I guess after killing a troll, you'll get some XP, but still. So, I, for the life of me, cannot find this page I was looking at beforehand. Because there's the stat block for the 3E, and then there's also a 5E. I'm trying to find the 5E stat block because they did get
Uh,
downgraded quite a bit from 3E, but I found that stat block like literally earlier. Okay, hang on. That is not even the right one. That is the old one. Oh, here it is. So here's the nimble right stat block, right? So these things are CR4, and they have a 45 hit point average, armor class 18 average. This thing can use a 6 average hit or an 8 average hit. And it has a multi attack where it can do up to 22 average damage to a creature that, once again has 13 average hit points. So, what does that tell me? Well, what that tells me is that this was all made to get your attention. Because why would you use a fireball in broad daylight, even assuming it's in the middle of the night? You're in the middle of a city, and you're going to just fireball in the middle of the streets to kill a gnome? No, I don't think so, Chief. If you're here for covert stealth operations, which is what you would use a nimble right for, you're not going to have it throw a fucking fireball. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So the party gets interested, and they gotta track down this nimble right. What the fucking do? Like, A, no one knows what that is, and B, like, you have no evidence whatsoever, like you said, that's what this was. Because you can't speak with dead on the gnome because it doesn't know what killed it. It got hit by a fireball. There's no blood. There's no viscera. There's no magical and in the end, you have to fight this nimble right and get the MacGuffin. Now, that's assuming you even go for, one of the. Isn't that even assuming you go for one of the villains specifically that you have to fight that thing?
Actually, the sad thing is, once you eventually find the Nimblewright, it's already lost the thing or transferred it. So the Stone of Galdur is not even on it. That's where that whole little tree line of different choices come, where it's effectively you go here, well, it's already gone. You go here, defeat these guys. Oh, they've already given it up. You go here, the bad guys are gone. And you do this, like, I think 6 to 8 different times. And only the first and the last location matter. I actually just skipped everything in between by having the Kinku still there in the what was it? Basically, it was like a cemetery little place you could go down into the stone building, and they were there trying to pick it up because that's where it got placed, I believe, by the Nimblewright before you come across them. But back on to like finding the nimble right, even if you knew what one of those were, unless you read Volo's Guide to Waterdeep, which is in the back of the book, which one, as the game master, you could hand it to all your players and they're going to set it aside. Like they're not about to read this 5-6 page thing for no reason. And then you have to actually look into the fact that, hey, nimble rights are something that this church makes because they're like this kind of tech savvy church that uses wood in create and uses wood to make different inventions. And granted, they got some cool ones, but you're never gonna think something like a warforged that can consciously walk around and go kill stuff. It's I almost had to force my players by using the NPC to be and go up to them and be like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" "Oh, we're investigating some situation." Is like, well, maybe talk to the person up there in the top that's on a tower in a tower. Maybe they know something about it. No, it just has the nimble right you eventually have to chase down and defeat. And it's when that guy said like, no, this is a good adventure, it's got multiple options. The options are which 25% of the game do you want to add in? It's it was actually really bad if you don't use all four, which would be completely overwhelming. Let's keep in mind you finish this at level 5 and Xanathar himself is one of the possible ending villains.
I want to get into this.
Like you're just gonna die. So trying to find the nimble right, you have to end up railroading your players into making decisions. I had to actually pause the game and tell them, guys, do not start searching the entire town. Please. This is water deep. It's huge. This will be the next 4 or 5 sessions. And if an adventure ever requires the game master to stop the gameplay, to be like, hey, I need you to do this so that this actually works. It's generally because you are running out of options that can give the information. You had to let the players get caught, and the players are not going to let themselves get caught. And that's a lot of the information that you were dealing with. And there's just no way to extrapolate what you're supposed to be able to do from the information they're giving.
And not only that, but out of the four, they're all like none of these plot lines, except for maybe your Axel, is even close to being a 1 to 5 thing. Like I said, like you said, Xanathar is in this thing. The second Xanathar, to be specific, is is one of the players in this. Like, who's gonna throw a beholder with a syndicate at a 1 to 5 party? Your other guys are, let's see, what was one of them? One of them is a clone of a mad wizard, and he's like just this. He's got this crazy shit. The other one has 2 people involved, and they're a couple, and they have made a deal with the devil. Now you might be thinking, oh, they made a deal with the devil. Yeah. You know what, devil? Asmodeus, the motherfucking king of all the 9 hells. They made a deal with the devil from the Bible. Like, I'm talking the man himself. And the whole deal is, oh, well, we want wealth and power. Okay, cool. I get your kid. Oh no, they took my kid and made him a chain devil. Hey, guess what? Now I'm taking your twins too. Oh no, not our babies. Oh, we're gonna have to make an idea here to get around this deal, aren't we? So their plan is to get that money, the whole hoard that you're trying to get, the heist as they call it. They're trying to take that and somehow get the souls of damn near everyone in Waterdeep to pay Asmodeus off so he doesn't take their kids. The other guy is the wizard man is trying to take the money so he can blackmail and bribe his way to becoming the ruler of Waterdeep. Your Axel is trying to take the money and give it back to the people of Waterdeep because it was illegally taken. You're not going to fight him on. How is that a villain arc? Most people will join him. The last one is Xanathar. You know why he wants the money? I don't either. No one does. There's no actual reason. There's not a real reason. The fucking Wizards of the Coast even said there's no reason. They don't know why. He's just crazy. What fucking? How much money are we talking? I forget. How much money is it even? It's each dragon is a gold piece. Yes.
Yeah, and it's 500,000 gold dragons.
What's Xanathar want with 500,000? Like, why he couldn't just... How much... Anyway. Here's the real kicker, okay? You get down there. If you get the stone... Oh my god. Do I talk about the stone first, or do I talk about what you have to do when you get down into the vault?
Oh no, let's talk about the stone, because that's hilarious. I didn't actually know what you found out about it, so that's actually a good one to go
peaked the fuck out of my mic audio screaming just then. I'm sorry for everyone listening, but here's the...
Sorry for the headphone
Here, you know what? Here, I'll do y'all as a favor here. I'm gonna pull up the stone right in front of your very eyes. If I could ever, fully click a hyperlink and delete it all in one go, wouldn't that be nice, ladies and gentlemen, if I knew how to operate a fucking Google search bar. So what is it again? The Stone of what? The Stone of Golor. There it is. I'm already looking at this shit. Look at this. All right, everybody. Here's it. The Stone of Goldor was an artifact. Thank you, Forgotten Realms Wiki, for automatically... Look at that, everyone! Applebee's 2 for $25, new sizzling skillets. Oh, it's back, baby! Let's fucking go! Alright, the Stone of Goldor was an artifact that contained the consciousness and memories of a fucking aboleth named Goldor. That's the whole thing! This little piece of shit that looks like a turd I squeezed out after eating too much vegan food at the Taco Bell... This thing right here, I shit you not, is just, it's got the actual consciousness and memories of a whole ass aboleth, which, by the way, for those of you, I'm going to go ahead and just exit off this for the time being. For those of you who don't know how aboleths work, Jonathan, do you know how aboleths work?
Oh, I know that they have been some of my end-of-campaign villains.
Oh, okay, well, here's what I'm going to tell y'all, right? Here's what happens. You have an aboleth, okay? Now, this aboleth, from the moment it's born, is fully conscious and cognitive, the same as you and me. On a grander scale, obviously. But this guy has a baby. I believe they reproduce asexually. They have a baby. So it's a perfect clone of themselves. But this one, when it's born, the moment it's born, it has all the knowledge and memories of this one. And when it has one, it gets this one and this one. So you have a rock that you could put in your pocket that has the consciousness and memories of every single fucking aboleth in the lineage of Goldor. And you're telling me it's in a rock? First of all, there's no... Let me go ahead and pull this back up. I just want everyone to be aware and look at this. Description. The artifact is a small and glossy greenish-gray stone that can fit in the palm of a humanoid's hand. Okay? Let's go ahead to the history. The Stone of Golor was in fact an aboleth that was transformed into an object, and it could be freed if the stone was destroyed via an antipathy or sympathy spellcast with the appropriate parameters. If Golor were freed in this way, it could go berserk and attack any nearby creatures. First of all, why would you even release that? And second of all, the only thing we see here in addition to it is, in the late 15th century, it was used to store the knowledge of the location of the Vault of Dragons. That's the whole crux of this entire heist. The powers, it's called upon, see, this thing can call upon the aboleth's memory, right? And you can do that up to 3 times a day, and it gets a recharge at the next dawn, okay? So
go ahead and read that wisdom check. Don't forget the wisdom check thing by anyone trying to attune to it so they can gain the information. They're at risk.
Fun fact, I'm not even seeing that on here. However, knowledge given by the aboleth was fleeting. Once a creature broke the attunement to it, there was a chance that any knowledge acquired would, even possession of the stone itself, would be forgotten. The magically induced amnesia could sometimes be removed by remove curse, but more powerful, like greater restoration, had a better success chance. So, not only that, but as the trapped creature inside, It hungered for knowledge and did not like to stay attuned to the same person for long. And as most aboleths, it saw itself as a god. And if you ignored what the stone wanted you to do, it could just take your body. It could take over. There's not even information on here about the save.
Oh.
I'm assuming it was something god awful, like everything else in this stupid ass campaign. But here's the real thing, right? So you're telling me, A, why would you even release him? But B, there's no information on who or how, who trapped him in the stone and how the fuck they did that. There's no information. It just happened. We just take the word for it. That aside, that is just the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. Do you know what an aboleth... These motherfuckers were here before the creation of the material plane. The only thing that stopped them were the Elithids, and even they got their shit pushed in. By the kid Yankee of all things. Okay. Anyway. So... let me just suspend my disbelief and say that. Hold on, let me pull up a fucking stat block. Let me pull up the stat block of the aboleth. Let me pull up what the fucking aboleth stat block looks like in 5e. Okay. So the aboleth stat block here, as one can see from this image that I'm attempting to fucking load, that's very helpful. Thank you, Google. I'm so glad that you decided that you wanted to not do the thing I asked you to do. You're such a wonderful, brilliant search engine here. Look at this image. Look how low res this shit is. You can't even tell what that says. Ah, here you go. Here, that's a lash. That's specific. Look, here we go. Aboleth, large apparition, lawful evil. Okay, armor class 17, hit points average 135, CR 10s. That doesn't even make any sense on it even of itself. But these things, literally. So here's the wonderful thing. They have mucus cloud, right? So while underwater, they can just, release that, and any creature that touches the aboleth or that it hits with a melee attack within 5 feet must make a DC 14 con save. And on a failure, you're diseased for 1d4 hours, and you can only breathe underwater if you're diseased. But here's what it don't say. If you're affected by that, it's permanent. Like, if you don't get cured of that shit, that's permanent. You can only breathe underwater. And at that point, what do you do other than be subjugated by this motherfucker and just do what it wants? So, that whole stone, that's a MacGuffin. It's stupid. It makes no sense. That's a MacGuffin for you, though. I'm not here to complain about the fact that it is a MacGuffin. I'm just saying it's the fact that there's an aboleth involved in all of this. In a 1-to-5 module. Okay? Now, here's what really bothers me. Because, it's not like you're fighting the aboleth, because that's a CR10. That'd be crazy, right? Fighting the CR10 monster in a 1-to-5 module. I say we're fighting 1-to-5s. We're fighting, like, the biggest thing we've fought so far was the troll, Okay, cool. That's cool. So, obviously fighting a CR10 monster would be absurd. That's why they didn't include that as a thing. But you know what they did include? A fucking dragon!
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a dragon in this heist. Okay? Not just any dragon. No, this is not only... Okay, first, I'm going to talk about this from a game mechanic perspective. This is an adult golden dragon. Okay? Those of you who don't know, those motherfuckers will, at their peak, surpass the peak of red dragons. They're stronger than a red dragon at their peak. Okay? Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. CR, take a guess. Take a guess. Go ahead, take a guess. Anybody? Eternal?
Isn't that like 15 to 17?
Yeah.
Or on the adult, is it 21?
It's an adult at 17! 17! Motherfucker. So let's pull up the stat block for an adult gold dragon. Okay? Adult gold dragons. Oh yeah, look. Here's an adult red. Adult reds, okay? This is ancient. I don't know why you pulled this up. Adult, yeah. CR is 17 as well, okay? You got 256 at the hit points, 19 at the armor class. Okay? That's all nice. That's wonderful. But the adult gold, on the other hand, you can see if I had a better image, that's not even it either. That's beautiful. That's ancient. Isn't that nice, ladies and gentlemen? That I asked specifically for adult and can't find the damn thing. Look, adult white dragon. I'm glad that pulled that up when I typed gold adult dragon. Anyhow, I'm just going to get out of Google Images to see if I can find the actual... Here you go. From D&D Beyond itself. Okay. Adult gold dragon. Armor class 19. 256 hit points. CR 17. Holy shit. Damage immunity. Fire. It's not resistant, guys. It's immune to fire damage. Okay. This thing has 3. Count them. 3 legendary resistances a day. Where if it fails a saving throw, no, it doesn't. This thing's amphibious. And because it's a metallic, it gets 2 breath attacks. So the weakening breath is its secondary. It can exhale a 60-foot cone of gas. Everything in it has to succeed a DC 21 strength throw or have disadvantage on every strength-based attack roll. Strength check, strength saving throw, everything for 1 whole minute. And a creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turn if it lives that fucking long.
Now, real quick, for those who aren't doing the math real quick, 1 minute is 10 rounds. For 10 rounds, you are, like, fucked up by that.
Folks.
And let's add one more thing. The location at which you were fighting this dragon means you don't have a lot of area to run.
Ladies and
Like
gentlemen.
it's not even a 60-foot wide room. It's definitely like I think it was like 20 feet tall of a room. So literally this thing takes up like a chunk of the room, like 20%, 15%, something like that of the entirety of the room once it transforms. Not only that, how often are players running around with a purely good aligned party across the board?
So
This thing's there to protect the gold, and yes, there's a way to be able to tell the dragon, no, hey, look, I followed all this, but you're not the person that's intended to find it. The dragon doesn't know anything else. So you're basically walking in, and the game master has to go, well, I'm just not going to have it fight y'all, because that just ends the campaign. Like, their ability to decide which type of creature should be there. Like, cool, I get it. It's a dragon heist. The coins are dragons, and it's a golden dragon. And then there's a gold dragon guarding the golden dragons.
Isn't that funny? Isn't it just funny? Isn't that a cute little thing? Isn't that adorable? Fuck no, it's not. Let me tell you why. Here's the problem. I could understand. You know. A lot of people are gonna come at me right here, right now, right? They're gonna say, hey, you know what? Don't you know, Narg? Duh. The whole what is it? That the fuck. There's a 1 to 3 module. It's Storm Coast, Sword of the Storm or the Sword Coast, something like that. You fight a blue dragon. And I believe there's also a brass one in there. But that blue dragon, guys, is a fucking wormling. Okay? Let me go ahead and just... I'm going to pull up a separate window. Let's see. What is a blue dragon wormling, right? Let's just take a look at a blue dragon 5e. Let's look at the stats. It's not even young. Let me type in wormling. Okay. Wormling. I don't know why I got it in caps lock. Blue Dragon Wormling. Okay, let me just look at this little fucker right here, right? This thing's a CR of 3. So you're supposed to be able to kill it at max level in this adventure module. The adult gold dragon's a 17 and a 1 to 5. Okay? Now, here's another thing, too. This is an adult. Let me say that again. An adult. You know what that means? 3 legendary resistances. 3 legendary actions as well. Okay, let's just go ahead and say what we got here. Detect, this dragon makes a wisdom perception check. Cool. Tail attack, does a tail attack. Cool. Wing attack, 2 actions, and it beats its wings. Everything in 10 feet. It's got to succeed a DC 22 dex. Or take 15 average 15 damage, and be knocked down. And then it can fly. But here's the kicker, folks. It's an adult. You know what that means? Not only does it get regional, but it gets lair actions. It gets regional effects and lair actions. You know where you're fighting it, and it's motherfucking lair, basically. So, all of that to take consideration. It's also got Frightful Presence, which everyone, let's go ahead and be it real. That is a bit of a problem. Fire Breath, guess what? It's a 60-foot cone, and if you don't beat a DC 21 Dex save, you're taking an average of 66 fire damage, and half as much if you actually make that. Now here's another thing. All right, there is this cool thing. Okay, when you first find this guy, he's a dwarf. He looks like a dwarf. They got change shape. He's a metallic dragon. They do that. Here's the thing. When you first, there is an item. There is an item. It's the dragon staff, some kind of dragon staff. I don't fucking know the name of it. It's got some name I don't really feel like pronouncing or even attempting. There's a staff you can get. It's the second MacGuffin, as I mentioned earlier. This staff basically makes it to where you know what? Let's just pull it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. Actually, I'm gonna pull up what this staff does. So the staff, right? The staff of fucking what is it? Damn it. Fuck me. If I could type. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Okay, hold on. Let's just say the Waterdeep Dragon Heist staff. Okay, so you get the dragon staff of whatever this, an Agarin. Okay, so this is actually the dragon. This is him in his dwarf form. Okay, so any dragon touched by that staff becomes immune to the effects of the staff. Cool. So if a dragon was touched a second time, he would. So basically, the whole point of the staff is that there's a ward around Waterdeep that prevents dragons from coming in or coming out, and this staff is the only thing that allows them to go in and out. Additionally, the staff conferred several powers to its wielder. It had all the capabilities of the Staff of Power and could be used to cast a command spell, which had additional compulsive power if using as dragon can. You had an advantage on command if you used it against dragons. So it had all the capabilities of the Staff of Power. Okay, so let's just look at the Staff of Power real fast. So the Staff of Power has a number of potent abilities, including it can cast Magic Missile, Enfeeble. It basically hold monsters, levitate, continual flame, lightning bolt, fireball, cone of cold. Like, it has all kinds of crazy shit, right? It's cool. It's awesome. So here's the big thing. Let me go back to this. So this staff basically, let's look at, it also gives you, I know it gives something crazy against dragons, like their breath weapons.
Yeah, it was advantage or something to saving throws against the breath weapons.
So Waterdeep Dragon Heist, right. So while holding the dragon staff, you have advantage on saving throws against the spells and breath weapons of dragons, because dragons are spellcasters. At least the metallic ones I know for a fact are. I think the chromatics can somewhat learn it, but as well as any creature.
I'm gonna fuck your world up real quick. That's only the variant. That is not the base stat block. 5e took innate spellcasting away as a basic part of dragons. Mm-hmm. It was their part of the whole thing of in 5e, we want players to win and survive, so they took away a lot of stuff. Like, even, they don't even have their own list of spells directly attached to them. You can see on their stat blocks, it says variant option or whatever, innate spellcasting. So it's not even a baseline thing, even though they make the item have it like it's a baseline thing. So again, another problem with the design of this thing.
So let me just go ahead and just bring this back. While holding the dragon staff, again, you have advantage on a saving throw against spells and breath weapons of dragons, as well as the breath weapons of other creatures that share that type, like dragon turtles. A creature of the dragon type that you touch can move within the city, ignoring the ward. It has 10 charges. While holding it, you can spend 1 charge as an action to cast command, and if you target a dragon, the dragon gets disadvantage on the throw. Okay? All that's great. So you're like, okay, cool. So, there's a giant gold dragon, but hey, that staff, though, that staff can help me and my friends, right? We have advantage. We can command it. We could do, we could make a saving throw on it. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe you guys picked up on it when you saw the picture of the dragon in his dwarf form. He has the staff! He has the fucking staff, guys. So the MacGuffin that you have, that you can use to win, the fucking dragon has it. Okay, what sense does that make to anyone? A, to throw a 17 monster in a 5 campaign, but to give it the very MacGuffin you need to kill it with? So that's a mechanic standpoint. Let me get into a lore standpoint here. An ecology standpoint, if you will. Because that's where I mostly delve into get into my own, so to speak. Gold dragons. Lawful, good. And let's be honest, the favorite of Bahamut. So according to the lore surrounding this whole adventure, this gold dragon knows that this money is stolen, and never ever comes up to him and is like, "Hey, dude, we got that ward. That ward's around the city. That's a bit of a bitch, isn't it? Bet you'd like to go in and out of that, huh? How about I give you this staff that would let you do that, and I'm gonna pay you in gems." How does that sound? This dragon falls for that shit. You expect me to hang on. I actually have his name right here. This clown's named Aranax. Okay, Aranax. This absolute fuckfest of a gold dragon just decides, you know what? Fuck everything that I stand for. Yeah, I'll take it. No. A, you never try to bribe a gold dragon because they will incinerate you on the spot. For the mere suggestion that you could pay them off from evil shit. B, if they know there's evil afoot, they go full mermaid man and just and they'll just blast it. They incinerate. They don't ask questions. If there's evil, it's gone. Off the face of the earth. That's their whole shtick. You're telling me that this old enough to know better, like this wasn't a young, or a wormling or a young, which I could see maybe losing their way, getting convinced a little bit. This is an adult gold dragon, and he knows damn well what's going on. But he just, they would never do that. A gold dragon would never do this. They would never take, stolen money and be okay with it. Like the slightest inconvenience. If a gold dragon sees you jaywalking, you're done. Like that's just how they work. They take this seriously, more so than any other dragon in the metallic line. And no, just the thought that a golden dragon of all of them would sit there and work with a crime lord of, basically Never Ember's a criminal. He stole this money. That gold dragon would have busted his ass. He would not work for the man. It doesn't matter if he had that staff as leverage. You know what he would have done? He would have killed him and then took the staff. What? Why would... This doesn't work mechanically. This doesn't work lore-wise. None of this works. Xanathar being involved also makes no fucking sense lore-wise, nor to work. He's a damn beholder. Why would... So here's how this works. Here's how this works. So the lore behind this is trying to tell me Xanathar had the MacGuffin, the Aboleth rock, the Aboleth kidney stone, right? He had it. So he has this Aboleth kidney stone, and there's a rival faction to his guild, the Zamtrian, Zamoth, whatever they are. I don't.
Zentarum.
Yeah, them. So he has a meeting with them, his enemy guild faction. Okay. He leaves his lair. A beholder leaves his lair to go have this meeting. Okay. First of all, that's about a red flag. Second of all, he doesn't have anyone or any vault to guard this stone. A gnome infiltrated his lair, stole the stone. Nah, chief, that don't click. That ain't how that would. Nah, you don't do that around here. Nah, these fuckers can grow eyeballs on the ceiling and the walls. You're telling me he didn't have either himself or anyone to know there was a gnome inside, and you tell me he, as paranoid as any beholder is, he didn't have this thing locked in a vault? Holy shit, dude. this whole thing is a mechanical and an ecological and a lore stance fuck clusterfuck of gigantonormical proportions. You know what that word
Yeah.
means? No one does because I made it the fuck up. I had to because there's no other way to describe this.
Yeah,
Holy
and now
shit.
you're seeing why, like, I brought this to your attention before we thought of making this a video, is that this is by far not just the worst adventure in 5e, not just D&D, but in tabletop history. I can go back to first edition rewrites into fifth edition and find 10 times better quality. And that's 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we knew how to make better adventures than this. And to me, this was the beginning of the downfall of 5e. I can't remember something into the Feywild or whatever it was. It was this carnival themed thing that was originally advertised as being a setting, like having a lot of the Feywild setting information. It's at least how they were trying to kind of hint at what it was going to be. And it's just this miniaturized little small part of the setting. It's really bad idea. It's only better than what they did with Spelljammer, which, that's epic. That's a huge open setting. You can describe the phlogiston, the different crystal spears that the different worlds and settings are captured within. No, they give you the worst idea of Spelljammer combat, which is just line the two ships up and have regular combat. And the setting they give you is a flattened out side of an asteroid with a city on it. So, like, it gets worse, but at
You,
least those were bad settings. This is like an atrocious attempt at an adventure.
you
To
know,
me, I always used this book afterwards as a really good setting book for Waterdeep. It works great. There's like, it shows you so many insides of the buildings. It shows you all the different factions. You can learn um, about like so many different NPCs and people that are involved. Like Zoblob. Zoblob's this crazy deep gnome that got infected by the gases of a beholder, and now he's turning everything in his shop purple. Um, that's hilarious. Like, that was one of the cool things about this. But again, that setting information, it has almost nothing to do with the adventure, except the little stuffed beholder in the window actually is connected to Xanathar, and he can look through it and see people and hear things that are being said around it. So he's basically a spy unwillingly for the Xanathar's guild. His name's not even Zoblob, just people kept calling him that because he runs the Zoblob store. It's actually something interesting, and it goes into the lore beyond stuff that I would refer to as cool stuff from the setting. Um, there's not a lot to really take away from this book. Like how you'd pointed out that each of the bad guys is technically a chunk of what they gave us as a whole adventure. You're only getting about 40% of the adventure when you pick one of the villains. The moment you pick two or more to add more of that in, you're completely overwhelming your party. There's no chance of them making it through.
and
I
that's
mean, they
that's the
even
thing.
have the villains' lairs at the end of the book. And, like, what are you gonna do? Go fight Xanathar? You gonna try and take out Jarlaxle? You're gonna try and take on a clone of Manchun? Like, what are you doing?
That's
This
the other
had
thing,
no
man.
forethought into the end game. And it's almost like they want you to go from the Dragon Heist mission to Dungeon of a Mad Mage and then come out and take out your villain. But then why would you have him as a possible villain from this? A much better direction would have been to just have a solitary villain where they were going at, like, you were going to do a heist. Xanathar still has it. But by the time you get in there, his guild, he's still in Skullport. He has nothing to do with this except his minions. So you go in and you're about to steal it, and you find a letter that's like, haha, I got here first, or y'all didn't catch me. And now that guild, the Xanathar's guild, blames you. So now you're trying to avoid them while getting ahead of trying to figure out who the heck actually took it. And once you do, you have to either convince them, hey, I'm not your target, but then you tried to steal it anyways, or you wouldn't know. So you're still avoiding them while trying to get ahead of the person that actually stole it and learn what they actually stole it for. If you handle it like that, you actually have a pseudo heist instead of not having one at all because you at least attempted it. You just got beat to it. Now you have to actually get ahead of them and plan a mission to where it's like, okay, so here's what they're doing. If we go here and do this, we'll be ahead of them in their plans and can take it from them. And then everything continues as normal from there in the mission. That's what I was doing with rewriting it, but then it just came up with so many problems left and right. No matter where you looked, it's much better to just rename it the like treasure hunt. it, it's a much more fitting title, even if it kind of sounds stupid. But putting a heist in it, period, when there isn't one, was dumb. Like everyone in 5e at that time was asking for a good heist mission, and Dragon Heist came out. They tried to make the what is it, the golden keys to the vault or whatever it was. It's a kind of compendium of like 5 to 7 actual heist missions, and by then I'd already given up on purchasing D&D books. I gave up towards the later end of the pandemic, um, not buying any of the new ones starting ahead of that. But there was already things that I just wasn't buying, like the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide is the only setting book for all of Toril or the Forgotten Realms. Like their idea of handling adventures and settings just has sucked so hard. Like to this day, Curse of Strahd is 5e's best adventure and best setting book all in one. And they just haven't been able to top that. And it's not even their idea originally. This husband and his wife had a home game back in first edition, and it got popular enough amongst the community that in second edition, or I don't remember if it was ADD or just official second edition, where it got released and officialized as the Barovian campaign. But the best thing they've ever made wasn't even theirs. They just added extra info to it. They're even accredited in the beginning of Curse of Strahd as being called back in to update it. So it ain't even a WotC Hasbro product.
And I just want to go ahead and put this out there too, that even if you do like what you said and you were to do Dragon Heist and then the Dungeon of Mad Mage and come back, you're still not fighting a gold dragon or a damn beholder. You're not doing that, and I don't care what level you are coming out of that. Like, first of all, a gold dragon on its own, CR17, like I said, a beholder, dude, you're not killing it. I promise you, you're not. Like, and to top it all off, I'm just going to go ahead and bring this comment back up. As you guys can see here, this guy here, I'm not gonna throw shade. All I'm gonna say is, I guarantee you that when he played this module, he played it altered, because a lot of people will sit there and like this guy here, and they can say all they want that this is a good module and it's fun and they had a great time playing it. We're not here to talk about your personal experience or ours. We're here to talk about what you're given. This isn't a. You can alter this in any way you want. You can homebrew the fuck out of it. That's wonderful, and props to you for whatever creative thing you come up with for this. But what we're talking about is what you are given out the gate. For anyone like who is lacking creativity, doesn't have a lot of good imagination, and they just want something given to them, and they try to play this out the rip, that's not happening. It's shit. Straight up through and through. You can change it around and you can make it what you want to make it, and that would be great. But as a raw deal, it's a raw deal. You're not. You're
I
not.
shouldn't be paying $50 to $60 for something that I have to homebrew and change up even further than just basic homebrew for it to be functional.
Exactly.
That
Now,
that's
like
horrible.
that, the whole point of me buying a module for D&D is because I want an adventure. Maybe I'm tired of DMing. I know I've been there before. Maybe I want to experience a game, you know? And you know what makes that easier? Having a preset module. Now, when that preset module sends me into a brick wall at 85 miles an hour, I don't really appreciate that. And you ask me to pay you for slapping me over the head with a sack of hammers? No, I'm not doing that either, Chief. That ain't happening. So, all in all, through and through, Dragon Heist? No, this is complete shit. All the way through. Look, props to you, Vlad USSR 8390. I'm sure you had a wonderful time playing this module, and I'm guaranteeing that it was modded to hell and back by whoever ran it for you. If you ran it, I guarantee you didn't run it raw. So, to everyone who's thinking about playing Waterdeep's Dragon Heist, yeah, no, I probably you're gonna have a bad time. So, we've been here for an hour and 16 minutes talking about this shit. So I don't know how much of this I can physically actually do as an upload. I would assume I can do the full upload, but we'll see.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you'll be able to do the full upload. People put 3 4 hour videos on YouTube, but definitely this is probably a good point to get to our
Start
like
wrapping them up.
closing
Yeah.
kind of statements with it. And look, from a game master who's run this, I can tell you that this, I mean, out of fifth edition, these were right when I was getting back into it. I lost all my 3 and 3.5 books during Hurricane Katrina in Southeast Texas. So I had just stopped running games. I've been working on my own system, which is something else you can check out on our channel. But until the pandemic, I didn't have anyone saying, "Hey, man, you should probably actually get back into game mastering. There's not a lot of us and a lot of y'all out there." So I was like, "Sure, fuck it, I'll go do it." So I bought the Monster Manual, the Player's Handbook, and the Game Dungeon Master's Guide, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm gonna look for two adventures that can tie together. So if this pandemic lasts for the next year, I've got something we can be running." So what does my ass do? I grabbed Dragon Heist and Curse of Strahd, literally the worst and best adventure in 5e. Magically, I didn't do this on purpose. I just saw level 1 to 5, level 5 to 12. Yeah, that works perfectly. I literally had to skip so much of that freaking thing just to make it enticing. So, like, originally, when I saw the name Vlad pop up on the comments, I was like, wait, did you make another account, Vlad? Because that's one of our play testers. But then I was like, well, it says USSR, so maybe it's actually as common as John in Russia. That's what I'm hoping, because it's like, homie, you prove my point if you are the person that played that game when I ran it, because you're like, oh, it was actually fun. You don't understand how much work I had to do to make that fucking fun. It you just don't. And I appreciate whoever it is that commented, because it literally gave us over an hour worth of content to talk about how actually wrong your statement was, without context at least.
And as somebody who likes to look beyond what we're shown, you know, what we don't get told, what's not on the surface level, I like to dig deeper. As someone who knows what these creatures are and what they're capable of, I gotta tell y'all, like any DM worth their salt is not gonna run this campaign straight raw. I tell you right now, I'm disgusted that there's even a gold dragon involved in this. There is no way any metallic dragon whatsoever would be involved in anything like this, especially not a gold dragon. That's just not happening. I don't care what you say, who you are. Uh, if you modded it that way, that's on you. But a straight D&D product should know better, and it should definitely know better than to throw Xanathar in the mix of this. I mean, really, a 1 to 5 module? You're gonna throw Xanathar in? No, no. But anyway, I just don't like when D&D makes something and then tells you to ignore that. That's so wrong and inconsistent. Like, I've seen people do stupid shit before. They'll take like, holy shit and make it like, oh, it's bad and evil now, and they'll take metallic dragons and make them evil every now and then, and it's like that's an interesting little twist. Like, not necessarily making them evil, but making them to be the bad guy. Like there was this one thing where a gold dragon was the enemy because of the fact that he was so like they actually do get this way. This is a lore thing, and this is why it worked. The gold dragon was so hell bent on getting rid of all things that, like I said before, it would literally try to kill someone over the smallest crimes, like petty theft or jaywalking. And it was the party's duty to stop that dragon because he was straight up ruining this town by being such a vindictive dictator and deciding who lived and died. Like I think it was the whole plot point was like Bahamut was like, hey y'all, this I got some problems with one of my boys here. You kind of might y'all might want to go down there and deal with that for me. Like it and there are times where some gold dragons will fight because of things like that. Like that makes sense. You know, they're doing the wrong thing for the right reason type deal. But when you straight up tell me that one is doing crime and knowingly abiding crimes, that doesn't click. But I think that's a good point for us to wrap it up. We are reached a minute 21 or an hour and 21. That's not minute 21 my ass. Longest minute of my fucking life. I feel like I was waiting in the DMV all over again. But I think I've got everything I need to off my chest, and hopefully people will realize now that this is not acceptable, and we cannot let D&D get away with doing dumb shit like this.
Yeah, I want to see if we can reply to that guy's comment with the link to this new video.
I don't see why not, man. I mean, all you gotta do is go back to that video, hit reply, and just paste that hyperlink.
I mean, but obviously people were interested in the topic of failed adventures. It got 1,500 plus views in
And
about 14 hours.
and what? That's on a short. Imagine what this is gonna get. This is a full length
Yeah,
breakdown
no,
of how
think
bad
about
this
this.
is.
I've got 56 subscribers. Me getting over 1,500 views is insane. I've been making content consistently for 2 months now. So, like, obviously, people appreciate what I've got to say and what you got to say when we like are interacting to the point where it's getting way more freaking views than we normally should be. So, hey, at least give us a chance on checking out our other stuff. And if you'd like to see what actually we would do with a D20 styled system, be sure to come check out the Path to the Core system playlist on Mystic Portal Emporium. This will be uploaded on mine and Nard's channel. So be sure to check both of us out. We cover different nerdy content as well as stuff about our game system.
Woo! This has taken a lot out of me. I gotta give me something to eat. I've been hooting and hollering in here for a fucking hour straight about this shit. More than an hour technically, because we talked about this a little bit beforehand. So, but great things to come. Great things to come, ladies and gentlemen. Check out both channels. Check out both TikToks at Portal Dweller at Eternal GM. And honestly, I'd say that's about all I got. Unless there's anything else you want to add, I'd say goodbye.
Nah, I think we're doing good, but see y'all next time, man.
Bye.